What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch, and today I want to talk about everybody's favorite grandmother hero, Ana Amari. Is she finally back? We're going to take a look at a few clips of me being able to utilize Ana in the current meta, but as well, there's been some Tier 2 pro Overwatch tournaments, which there's a big asterisk to put over analyzing any of the Tier 2 events, but some good examples of pros using Ana and how the general meta is going so far. The elephant in the room, or should I say the elephants in the room, is that tank meta is now back. Because Moira is so good, and naturally tanks sort of play and synergize together anyway, multi-tank strategies are definitely in full effect. And overall, we have to just say that Moira is kind of the best healer right now. I will say that I think she'll get a bit of a nerf when the quote bug fix comes in that stops her from being able to use her primary heal through barriers. But overall, since tanks synergize so well together, 3 and 4 tank strategies with a Moira can be really, really strong. Now, it's important to say that in order to get to the conversation about where we think of Ana, because we used to think of Ana as that super overpowered healing source type character where she alone kept her tanks up and running in those multi-tank strats, but really nowadays, that's Moira's job. Moira is way better as a pure healer, and in any context where you want raw healing power, you're going to want to be looking to Moira. But I still think there's a big opening in the metagame for Ana to be a strong pick, and I want to break down some reasons why. The first one I've already kind of mentioned, but we no longer have to think of her as a big health point healer. That's not what Ana does best. She kind of does that, but she mainly does her crowd control, anti-nade, and nano boost. Those are the 3 things you want to think about when you're picking or playing Ana. Can you get value out of those 3 entities? And as it turns out, since there's so many brawly characters that want to be playing right now, including the tanks, but also other characters as well, landing key abilities on any of them, I think can be team fight winning, but it requires you to play Ana in that carry type of way. You have to be looking and setting up in order to get these big value abilities to land, because if you don't, over time, you're just going to be producing a lot less value. I'll compare to something like Roadhog versus D.Va. This is sort of a classic comparison to me. Both of them have shotguns, are average in the brawl, but it's a lot easier to land defense matrix value, and you're a lot more flexible with being able to have a mech that flies around, whereas Roadhog is all in on that hook landing in order for his value to come out. Ana is the same way when we're comparing to Moira. Moira just has very forgiving abilities that just toss value at your team, that if you're picking Ana over Moira especially, you're going to have to really view her as that skill shot hero that has to connect with Sleep Dart, Anti-Nade, and have a use for Nano Boost. But as long as those requirements are met, I think Ana can be a really good hero. I'll show a clip of me playing her on attack, but she's especially good on defense because she has a defensive playstyle. She can play keep away and give range support from quite a distance, and even though we might not think Nano Boost is a very good defensive ult, since there's no resurrection mechanic in the game anymore, using Nano Boost in order to get some frags somewhere or to increase your point presence to stall for more time does have a lot of usages on defense. Now here I'm going to show a clip of me utilizing Ana on attack. On this Dorado map, my team is defaulting into what I'm going to call tunnel vision to death. Please do not do this. Big pet peeve of mine. It's very, very bad to send especially a dive tank into a choke against an Orisa who has a shield that you can't break because you don't have enough shield break. You're just asking for death, trying to force your way through a small choke so all the spam can hit you together. It's very hard to attrition your way through that. Instead, far better to set up for a push either on the far left side or even flanking from the far right if you want to get really fancy about it. But we coordinate with our Winston to get him into position. We Kobe the anti-nade all the way into the back line. I'm kind of forced to play up with my tanks, which is going to eventually get me killed. But with the anti-nade hitting its mark and the nano going on to the Dragon Blade, there's just so much value punching out of Ana right there in that moment that it's really hard for them to respond with anything. Now, I will note that I did end up having to swap off Ana on this attack because on this third point, like like many maps, having a slow support line without speed boost can be a nightmare to try to get your pieces into position to even coordinate a meaningful attack, especially if they have dive tanks. They can just dive your backline and trade out. They have a respawn advantage in order to get everybody on the cart or into the fight properly without being able to die instantly. You kind of need that Lucio pick, and especially if the enemy defense is playing aggressively, Lucio Moira is the answer. Ana can't really handle too much heat